Everyone knows that feeling, wanting to experience more stories, but struggling to find the time. That's where Audible changes everything. With over 1 million audiobooks and Audible originals, there's a story waiting to spark anyone's imagination. Take The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley, the gripping psychological thriller that's keeping listeners on the edge of their seats. Imagine unraveling its mysteries during your morning commute, or losing yourself in its twists and turns while doing household chores. That's the magic of Audible. It transforms daily routines into opportunities for thrilling discoveries. The best part? Members get access to thousands of included titles, with new content added regularly. From bestsellers to hidden gems, every genre imaginable is at their fingertips. And with one easy-to-use app, switching between favorites or discovering new passions has never been simpler. There's more to imagine when you listen. Start a free 30-day Audible trial and get your first audiobook free at audible.com/Wondery. That's audible.com/Wondery.
Now it's time for Inspirational Women and my guest, Nadia Popovici, an inspiring and compassionate young medical student at the University of Washington. There are some people who just obviously are in the right field of work. Nadia is such a person, even before she's entered the medical profession, in her volunteer work, and just her attitude toward and about life and people. Nadia is a natural healer. Her heart is huge with the desire to help others live and to live well. We're so fortunate to have Nadia Popovici join us to share some stories that I feel will not just inspire us, but I hope motivate us to do what we can in our own life. Nadia Popovici, good morning. Thank you so greatly for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Kate. It's honestly my pleasure.
Well, okay, it could be your pleasure, but I'm just very excited that you are with us because I just am so in awe of who you are and what you're doing. So maybe we start with that kind of big story in terms of you're donating your kidney. Now, we know organ donation is really important to have in our world, but yours is a really unique story. Can you give us that story?
Sure. Yes, of course. I've been on the bone marrow donation list for a long time, be the match, and I never had the opportunity to match with someone and be able to provide what I can. Organ donation or even blood donation, anything that you can do to help people in need is extremely important. And so I finally did some research and I thought, what can I do in this summer before clerkships start in medical school, before residency, and before my career, kind of my last free summer where I could have the opportunity to heal for a long time. And I looked into kidney donation. And luckily, after I think about 8 or 9 months of this entire process, I was finally able to do so on July 27th.
July 27th of this year, 2023?
This year.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm about 8 or 9 weeks out.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And how are you feeling?
Oh my gosh. So much better. I don't want to downplay the severity of an organ donation, even though it's an incredible thing to do. It's definitely not easy. It was a very, very long healing process, and you have to be aware of the complications that can happen, ensure that you have all the information going in, you have a support system. I think that was honestly the most important thing to me. I owe my little sister, who's 16, a huge Christmas present this year because she was, washing my face in bed. She was helping me study. It was really difficult for me to do very basic tasks, even get out of bed on my own. And so my family being there for me was very special, and I owe them a lot.
So this is even on your behalf, it's a huge thing that you did in donating your kidney to a stranger, true? Right?
Yes.
But it's a family affair too, where they were really supportive of your doing this and right there to help and support you through the entire process.
Yes, yeah, a lot of them were very nervous when I first brought it up. Of course, they love you and they want you to be healthy in the long term and safe. It's a huge surgery, and you really have to be committed to your health for the rest of your life. You have to eat a certain amount of salt every day, or you can't exceed that amount. A certain amount of protein. You have to really watch out for developing some of these things that can be influenced by your actions throughout your life. And so I knew going in that this was going to be a lifelong process and a lifelong commitment to my health. And so, of course, my family was nervous going in. But once what really helped change their mind was after I announced it, people started coming to me with their stories of their loved ones who were affected by kidney disease or, people who couldn't get off the list who ended up passing away.
Mm.
And my mom, especially hearing those stories, she changed her mind. She was really moved, and I was very grateful to have her full support at the end and still now.
Oh, again, I'm still really in awe. Well, I was when I first read about your doing this and wanting to do it, and you're affirming that you just felt you wanted to do something healing. Um, I still need to wrap my head around that. Could I do that? But it's I can donate blood. I appreciate you're saying that you were on the bone marrow donor list, but to a kidney to a stranger. That is so selfless. Um, but so to go through that process, you knew what you were getting into, but they needed to find someone who then would be a match for your blood type and what else? Genetics?
Yeah, so honestly, they take a lot of tests. It's a huge process over many months. CT scans, X-rays. Honestly, the longest part is just making sure that you yourself are healthy before they even send any of your information out. What they end up doing is sending, your blood type. A lot of there's things called HLA matching, which is just making sure that your immune system is not going to compromise the other person who receives your kidney, and kind of vice versa. And so they send them out to all of the dialysis centers in the United States. And eventually by some magic, you get back a person. And I got that call that someone matched with my kidney. And it was, I mean, I cried. It was such a long process building up to that. And just knowing the day before my surgery that they were also in surgery prep and probably feeling so happy, and hopefully going to live a long life after this.
Yes.
Um, it was something special, and I don't think I'll ever forget that call.
So you went into surgery. Did you go to the hospital like the day before or a week before? How does that work?
Yeah, so things move pretty slow with appointments every month-ish, up until about a month out. And then things start ramping up, and you have an appointment kind of a week before and then a day before where they do your last minute checkups. You talk to all your surgeons, and then you actually go to the doctor, or sorry, go to the OR the day of the surgery. And it was scary. It felt real. I I I won't lie. I was kind of terrified going in, because when you say bye to your mom in the waiting room, and you know that you're about to go under for this, there's a very slim chance of major complications or
Mm.
death, but it's still a chance. And I think being young and healthy up to this point, it really opened my eyes to the types of patients that I may see in the future as a doctor, the kind of fear that they may be feeling with
Mm.
whether it's chronic illness or surgeries, anything like that. it's terrifying. And I, I learned a lot in that process.
And the person, and this is strictly confidential, so we have no, and you perhaps don't even know who the person is. But were they in the same hospital, or was your kidney then needing to be transported somewhere else in the country?
Yeah, so all I know is that they are a male and that they are on the East Coast.
Oh.
So it did have to take a flight, my kidney, which is so funny because I think I've only been to Washington, D.C. So I haven't really even been to the East Coast myself, but my kidney now has. And I also have been checking up with my transplant team. I've chosen to stay anonymous, but luckily they're able to tell me just if they're in good health or not. And so I checked in a week after just to make sure that there was no rejection immediately. And then I just messaged them about 2 weeks ago and asked again, and they said that they are doing good, which
Oh.
is amazing. Everything I could have wanted.
Organ donation, I think, is such an important part of our life and our world. Not that I've ever done anything like that, but I have that on my license
Yeah.
itself to say that I'd be an organ donor. But so I'm always interested in stories, and I think about having heard how families who have had a family member donate an organ do get letters. So, and it's done, I think, anonymously. So, would you potentially get some kind of communication like that from this person?
I believe that they can send something
Mm.
to my transplant team. I'm not sure if me indicating that I would like to stay anonymous would shut that down.
Ah. Mm-hmm.
But I know that on my end, I was offered to write them a letter, and I was thinking about it for a very long time about what I would want to say to this person. And I was thinking about it, and all I want them to feel is the gift, and to not feel like
Mm.
they owe me anything after this. And so I hope that my kidney stands as a representation of everything that I hope for them, and all the health and life that I hope for them. And I think the actions are more than any words I could say in a letter.
Mm. Yes, yeah, yes, leaves me speechless. So I can see that is, it is so selfless, though, Nadia, to have done this, and I can appreciate, from your medical. Your love of medicine and your study here and moving into being a doctor, hopefully in just a few years. Actually, do you have a specialty do you know that you are directed to, or are you still exploring that?
Well, I'm still exploring, but I'm very interested in ophthalmology. I love the eyes. So we'll see. I've done research in a couple of different fields like dermatology and otolaryngology, and I'm also really interested in oncology. So I'm going to try and integrate ophthalmology and oncology somehow. Um, and we will see where I end up. We'll see.
Oh yes,
But it's
the world keeps
sorry, go ahead.
changing. No, the world keeps changing, so we'll see. But another part of your story, you just again, I can't say how amazing you truly are. But you were recently a fair what? When was the hockey game that you went to? I think it was earlier this year, right?
The hockey game where I found the Canucks equipment manager's mole that turned out to be melanoma, that was in 2021, at the very first Kraken hockey game ever. And then on New Year's Day, 2022, he announced on Twitter that he was looking for me, and I felt very grateful that he would put his, his health struggle out there, even though it was already resolved at that point. He had it removed, but it was really inspiring, and that also again brought up that acknowledgement of the fear of health scares. And I think that these past few years have made me just really realize the importance of what it is to be a good doctor, a good family member and friend. And hopefully now with this kidney donation, just a good human, someone who cares about people. That's all I would like to leave on this planet, I guess.
Well, in your young years, you already are making quite an impact that way, I would say. And my point in mentioning, well, you mentioned oncology and thinking about the Canucks equipment manager and how, how you must really have this medical eye. How do you notice something like that on someone's neck? But they're not sitting beside you. They're not in that close proximity. But you notice this. I mean, what is this special talent that you have?
I'm honestly not sure. It's such a strange kind of falling together of puzzle pieces that it took for me to first of all be able to notice the mole, but to kind of work up the courage to tell him about it. I was so nervous to bring it up, and I also didn't know how, because he's on the opposite team. I'm in full Kraken gear, and I look like I could be haggling him or whatever. And so I don't know if it was fate or whatever, but I somehow noticed this mole that was smaller than the size of a pencil eraser on the back of his neck. And I volunteered at Virginia Mason for a very long time throughout college. And I also volunteered at a hemonc clinic. And so I got to see, I happened to have a lot of exposure to this kind of stuff. So yeah, very strange how the puzzle pieces of my educational history that I'm very lucky to have, and this really rare moment happened, and I'm glad it turned out well.
Obviously, it did. Again, yes, it just something like one in a billion, maybe that happens.
Maybe.
Just so incredible, and to think of just anyone being at a sports game like that, they're focusing on the players on the ice, not other people. So obviously, you just have something about you that is, well, I'm going to call it magical, but it's more than that. It's not so glib. I mean, just to be so tuned into people and wanting to help. I think that really, screams out loud and clear.
Yeah, you're very sweet. I think I was just lucky, and my mom was a lot of the reason of she was sitting next to me, a lot of the reason why I felt encouraged to speak up and just let him know to get it checked through the glass with my phone message. She's the best, so I'm very lucky to have her by my side.
Well, I did read that article, and I guess he was pretty stunned too that someone was, he wanted to ignore, because fans do that, especially when it is the opposite team, right? And that, to me, that was genius. Hold up, put the message on your phone and hold it up for him to see, right?
Yes, I don't blame him at all. He said he was really confused. Told me since then that he didn't even know he had a mole on the back of his neck in the first place, let alone that it was cancerous. So if you could imagine, looking, your arm or your own skin and not noticing anything there, and then all of a sudden someone comes up to you and tells you that something really scary could be there. You could imagine the shock, confusion, mistrust, all of these feelings. And so he went home and ended up telling his wife, who was saying that this person was so eager to tell you, I think that you should just check it out just in case. And so his wife, Jess, has a lot to do with that as well.
And there's such a learning opportunity right here for any of us that, well, especially, on our back or on the back of our neck, we don't regularly check that. So to have someone in our close circle do that for us, that's really pretty critical to see if there are changes going on.
Exactly, exactly. A lot of melanomas or basal cell, any skin cancers, they're found by hairstylists, by like nail
Mm.
salon workers, people who are really checking out the places that you don't really look. And I think that it's important that all of us have this knowledge because melanoma is has a 95% cure rate if you catch it early, which is so special. I mean, if you think about how many deadly things there are that can happen to us over time, so many of them are unpreventable, and then you just have to wait for these really, invasive medical interventions.
Hmm.
So I think it's really important that we all spread this knowledge of how to spot something concerning and just, let someone know that you care, that you want them to go get something checked out. It's uncomfortable, and you definitely want to do so in a way that's appropriate. But I think if you come through with it with kindness and love, then that's all you can do.
Oh, you're speaking my language. Do things with kindness and love. Yes. Can we just make a big banner? But that's what that's what you're doing. I mean, and it's just so heartwarming. It's just so wonderful, to when it can have this ripple effect. You're doing this, what it causes to other people around them, for this Canucks coach. Well, no, he's a manager,
Mhm.
for his family and circle, but for the man on the East Coast who received your kidney, this amazing gesture of life. I mean, that's what your donation meant to him, because it is challenging to get a match, isn't it?
It's very difficult. 13 people end up dying from the kidney donation or kidney request list every single day. It's the most needed organ out of the entire human body. It has the longest list, which is just so so sad to me. I mean, it's you can have the best medicine, you can know exactly what's going on and exactly how their symptoms are going to progress. You can know all of that, and it feels very helpless as someone who's going into healthcare to have all this information and not be able to do anything when there's just not enough organs. So that was initially what got me to donate is you go into med school with kind of the stars in your eyes and, oh, I want to heal people and I'm going to learn so much. But when you keep on learning and you realize that some things doctors just you can't fix. um, I think that's really unfortunate and one of the hardest things that I've had to come to terms with. So this is just my way of, just getting one name off the list, doing what I can,
Mm.
hopefully inspiring people to donate to their family members, loved ones, or if they're bold enough, even a stranger. It means a lot to everyone. You're getting one name off the list, everyone moves up.
And obviously, because you've done it as a young woman, as a medical student, soon to be professional, well, just a little down the road, then we know we can live with one kidney. It's absolutely safe and fine. They wouldn't do the procedure if that weren't the case.
Yes, I don't think I've ever felt more secure in my own health after going through this whole process because they check absolutely everything to make sure that you are a good candidate. They're not just going to let things slide so that there's a name off the list. They really want to make sure that you are safe after this donation. Even if you, for example, I had two kidneys. Some people ask why I donated the left one. It's because the arteries and veins are longer, but let's say, for example, my right kidney was healthier. They would end up taking the left one. They would end up taking the least healthy kidney to leave me with the healthier one. They want to make sure that you as a donor are protected. And yeah, after the donation, you do have some kind of rules you have to follow. You don't have to follow them, but you meet with a nutritionist. They talk to you about how your diet's going to look in the future, how much water you should drink, things to stay away from, things like smoking, stuff like that. And I think that once you find a good team, you will feel very prepared by the time that you go in. And like they assured me while I was about to be rolled into the OR, if you want to change your mind, you can. Wow. No one is forcing you to do this. We don't want to make you feel like there's pressure at all. I had a very excellent team, and I think that a lot of the transplant teams they're so knowledgeable and wise, and they've seen how this can change lives. And I think that they definitely know what they're doing.
Oh, you're just so amazing and an inspiration, without question. I feel so much of what you said is just the whole story of what should appeal to or touch our hearts, to continue to or to reach out and do that ourselves. So, but is there anything else that you would want to say to listeners in terms of how they might regard what they're doing and how they might think about organ donation?
Sure. Well, it's like I said, it's difficult for me to promote that people go and donate an organ. It's a huge commitment. But it's important, I feel, to help in your own way, the people around you, and that could be something like donating blood, volunteering, even educating yourself on skin cancer. It's just so you are equipped with that knowledge to point something out on your mom or your dad or a stranger at a barbecue, something like that. Just make sure you look out for each other, and in whatever capacity that is. I think that people are good, and they have good intentions. I hope that my story can uplift people and kind of give that push to do what you can, even if it's not in your capacity to do something big like that. It's not necessary. Everyone has their own impact.
But you certainly are making an impact. I really appreciate that you want to be this generous in sharing your story, because some part of it is certain to touch some part of our own selves and what we might be then encouraged to do because of it. So I am just in awe of you. We need more people like you in the world, so I hope just this story is going to lead us in that direction, Nadia.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. Everyone's kind words, they're going to stick with me for a very long time.
Well, we'll look forward. I want to know what you will be doing with your future. You've already done so much with your life. And, how is it going to unfold, and what kind of a doctor are you going to be? Whatever it is, it will be extraordinary.
Thank you. Thank you. That's going to get me through studying today.
Okay. All right. Whatever it takes. Just know that you are so wonderful. I'm inspired by you. And I'm so grateful, again, that you're sharing your story and that you have done so in telling us so much of it today. Thank you, Nadia.
Thank you so much, Kate.
That brings us to the end of a very full hour of Inspirational Women with Nadia Popovici and Sunday Morning Magazine with Dr. Elizabeth Clotis. I'm Kate Daniels, your host, and I greatly appreciate your sharing this hour with me and these special guests. For details you might have missed or information you'd like to know, please just send me an email, kated@warm1069.com, and I will get right back to you. Also, if you'd like to listen again or to share these important stories with your family and friends, find the podcast on our Warm 1069 webpage. Just click on the podcast tab, then either of the show names, and then look for the guest names. I now wish you and your family a day of doing what we can for our good health and to share it with others. Have a week of the same, and then please plan to join me again next weekend for another hour of Sunday Morning Magazine and Inspirational Women on Warm 1069. Good morning.